So this video is a little bit different than videos that I normally do. I have 8 raised bed gardens in my garden footprint. And I get a comment, a snarky remark, or just honestly a genuine question about my raised beds that I'm going to address in today's video. So if I get future comments, questions, or snarky remarks, I can just reply back with the link to this video. So I'm going to just do a quick pan and just be quiet and let you folks observe and look specifically at the soil level of my raised beds. That's what it's about. So I'll bring you to this one because that's the one that is probably the lowest. So my raised beds are 10 inches tall, and maybe at this one, at this given time, there's 4 inches of visual soil that you can see. And the snarky comments are like, I thought you raised bed garden, that's not even got any soil in it. Sorry about my voice, I love doing voices of what I think that the person sounds like. Or I get genuine questions that, interesting, I see your raised beds, but it doesn't look like there's much soil in it. How come? And so, I'm going to just tell you the story. So let's just start with, why do people typically raise bed garden? Typically, raised bed gardening is done because the soil that you would naturally garden in, the earth layer, is horrible, right? It's just bad soil. You couldn't grow anything in it if you wanted to. So you build these above ground garden beds so that you can immediately put good soil combinations, compost, peat moss. The standard mix from Mel Bartholomew is 1 part compost, 1 part peat moss, 1 part vermiculite or perlite. And then he teaches you just to amend it there going forward. And when you initially do that, your beds are nice and topped off, as you would normally do. And that can fairly well stay that way when you live like in rocky conditions or very clay soils or whatnot. So our soil is not bad soil. It's sandy, almost pure sand beneath where we are. And when I first built these raised beds, after learning about Luke over at MI Gardener's core gardening method, basically what you're doing is in his method anyway, you build out the center with a core that is straw or any kind of natural material that's going to hold on to moisture. Well, I took that approach and I applied it to the entire bottom layer. So when I initially filled these beds, they were half straw, then half of Mel Bartholomew's mix. From there on, that was 4 years ago. From there on, they have only ever been dressed with my compost, or in the fall, we do a very thick layer of grass clippings and leaf clippings to top dress them for the winter. So over time, very quickly actually, that straw layer breaks down. It's not non-existent anymore. And our sandy soil, because there's not this rock layer, this heavy clay layer that's going to stop the natural earth from absorbing all these good nutrients, right? You picture all your roots are going deep down in the earth and it's opening up holes to receive all this goodness. The worms are coming up and taking it with them and distributing it in the earth. It's just this beautiful process. Anyway, I don't care that my raised beds are not filled to the brim. What I've built here is the solid foundation of a garden bed, and that's really all you're trying to accomplish with raised bed gardening, is give you a solid, contained foundation. Now I could pull these up, and I don't need these boards, and I could have a garden bed here with no borders, but I like the tidy look of it. I like the orderliness of it all. And I have in-ground beds that are very similar all the way around me that don't have borders. But to me, it's just nice contained garden spaces. So that is why my raised garden beds are not filled to the brim with soil. Hope that answered your questions. And I don't mean this in a snarky response back, but I figure like I get this question all the time and it just had to be gently addressed so that we can move on and just garden happily and freely. But come with me because I'm going to end this video on a happy note, and I'm going to show you how to store tomatoes so that you have enough tomatoes to process in big batches for your sauces and all that kind of stuff. At least what I do. Because I know when I was a first-time gardener and I was getting a tomato here, a tomato there, a tomato here, a tomato there a day, I was like, I'll never have enough to make a sauce with. But you will if you do this. But first let's walk around and see if there's any to take in with us. Aw, darn, I got a broken branch. That stinks. A few little cherries. I see some down my Rome aisle that I can probably take in and let ripen on the windowsill, which is what I do so the birds don't get them. Guys, this is, let's see, what variety was this? The Fantastic tomato, which was a new variety that I've never grown before. And they are like amazing. Just putting on like absolutely beautiful fruits. So I haven't gotten to taste one yet. I'm really hoping that they're absolutely delicious, because if they are, I've got these and I have Super Fantastics on the other side, and they're a very, very high yielding tomato plant. So I can't wait for one of these to ripen so I can taste it. And sadly, we had a high wind come through the other day, and this one was so loaded, it snapped and broke. Can you guys see that? I think so, yeah. So sad. But it's hanging on by the hair of it. You know, like, this has been here for 3 days. I don't know if there's something I should have done for it, but I'm just kind of letting it hang out and see if I can't get some of these fruits to ripen, because it was just so heavy. And I think I only had one piece of the Velcro tape on there, and it just pulled it down. So I'm going to see if I can't get these to ripen, at least to get to a first blush before I pull them in the house. Do you guys remember when I found this volunteer tomato plant growing in my carrots? It couldn't have been more than a month ago. And look how crazy big it is. And it's growing in one of my raised beds with only 4 inches of soil in it. But just in case observant viewers out there see all that crap sugar, that's not for me, it's for the bees. So my cherry tomatoes, I just keep in a bowl. And these, I don't know that I'll ever have enough to do anything with. They just are snack tomatoes. So these are the ones I just pulled in. Let's grab one. You can see it's not quite ripe. Here's one that I pulled in a couple days ago, set it in the windowsill, ripe. So all of these will get transferred. I've currently got a set that's 2 days old in the windowsill tomorrow. Usually 2 days is long enough for them to get to where I need them. These go right into a bag. All I do is I take the green tops off. I don't even core them at this stage because I don't want all their juices to come out. I just take the tops off, they go in a bag and go right into the freezer. And I've got a bag already down there, and I wait usually till my freezer runs out of space. And then I pull out hopefully 50 pounds or so at a time and get to canning on them. So that is where this will go, is to the freezer. And actually I find that canning freezer tomatoes is a little bit easier than canning fresh tomatoes when it comes to things like peeling. If you want to peel tomatoes, when tomatoes thaw out, it's like the peels naturally separate. So it's really easy. But yeah, that's just my tip to you. If you're, I mean, I think most seasoned canners do this. In my experience anyway, they don't wait till they have like this bounty of fresh harvest, because that's not typically how tomato seasons work. Unless you're only growing determinate varieties, you might be able to get away with that. But especially if you're growing a lot of indeterminates, they're going to come in throughout the entire season. So, yep, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the windowsill now. There's, what, 9 here. These will go down. So that's kind of just my process. Every 2 or 3 days, I'm rotating more tomatoes. So don't be offended by my comment earlier it was really to the snarky ones. But to honestly answer the question of the kind, just inquiring minds, that's why my raised beds are not filled. Talk to you guys later, and I wish you happy gardening where you are.